Hello everyone. In this short video, we're going to demonstrate basic arithmetic operators, compound operators, increment and decrement operators, and floating point numbers. So let's get started with arithmetic operators. So in this example here, we're defining length and height, and we're coming up with the area, which is length times height. And then we print that out. Another example here, we're declaring a variable first is equal to 3 and a double variable second is equal to 4.0. So int and double, two different data types. So when we perform a arithmetic operation here, it's going to result in a double. So first plus second, 3 plus 4.0 is equal to 7.0. And in subtraction, 4.0 minus 3 is 1.0. Next, let's talk about order of operations. And if you should be familiar with this with algebra, it was important there, and it's even more important with computers because there's always one way that the computer is going to do it. There's no arguing with the computer. So we have an expression here. Int x is equal to 6 times 6 in parentheses plus in parentheses 4 times 16 over 5. So a complicated expression. Let's use PEMDAS to simplify it. So 36 is what 6 times 6 evaluates to because we're starting with P parentheses. 4 times 16, the innermost parenthesis here, 64. Now we're left with this expression. And then we can, again, we still have the P. So we simplify 64 over 5 is equal to 12. It's not 12.8 because it's an int. So that's very important. If you care about decimal places, you should define this as a double. And then 36 plus 12 is 48. So that's what we would expect here. Next, let's talk about compound operators. Simply put, it's expansion of the plus, asterisk, slash, and minus sign. So a plus equals 5 is equal to a equals a plus 5. So again, it's shorthand, shorter way to do it. Same thing, multiplication, asterisk, equal sign is equal to a equals a times 2. A slash minus 3 is equal to, well, it's the same thing as a equals a over 3. And then finally, a hyphen equal sign 4 is the same thing as a equals a minus 4. So shorthand, better way to do it this way, I would say. And then increment and decrement operators. So if you have seen Java before, you might not really understand what the difference between these two are, but they're pretty important to understand. So this post increment is when the two plus signs are after. So in this case, counter is going to print 3 and then increment the 4. So after the post increment, we can just print out the counter again. And pre-increment, it will increment the 5, then print 5. So again, might not sound very important, but in the general flow of a program, you might want to choose one over the other. It really depends on your situation. And same thing with decrement, which is represented as 2 hyphens, which means go down 1. So increment and decrement tend to be very useful with loops and things like that, where you just need to increment by 1. And it's an even simpler way of simpler way of doing it than this. Finally, let's talk about floating point numbers. Just an easy example here. Double float num 1 is equal to 5.75. Double float num 2 is equal to 2.5. And we're printing out the addition and multiplication of those two numbers. So let's compile this and run it. So going back to the top, our area is 48. Our addition and subtraction or print out as expected, or of operations result is the same, or compound addition is what we would expect. 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. 30 over 3 is 10. And 10 minus 4 equals 6. And then increment and decrement operators, as you can see here, post increment prints 3, then increments the 4. Here, after post increment, it just prints out the 4. Pre increment 5, because it increments first, then prints it. So that's probably a good way to think of the placement of the plus signs. And then same thing with post decrement here. We start off with 5, then it decrements to 4. After the post decrement, we're down to 4, and then the pre decrement decrements to 3, then prints 3. And then the floating point calculations give the expected results as below. So I hope this video was informative and was a good introduction to this topic. If you have any questions, feel free to comment and I would be happy to answer. Otherwise, have a good day. Thank you for watching.